a good day. Let's see.
It is the 8th of October, Rabbi Furst, Pierke, Avos.
Good. Thank you, Lou. As Lou mentioned, this is Rabbi Shlomo First here, Shiva Salmanavshi, Yerushalayim, care of Zoom. We're learning with some preparations for Yom Kippur, learning the Yud Gimel Midos Shorachimim based on starting with now Rashi's explanation there in Chumash. Shmos, Lamed Dalet, Pasuk, Vav, and Zayin. I think we did Pasuk Vav already, so that should bring us, I think, to Pasuk Vav. Zayin, rather. Okay, yeah, I believe so. Notes Chesed. Yeah, any volunteers to do some reading this morning?
I'm sorry, what are we reading?
Okay, we're in Shmos. This is where the Yud Gimel Midos Arachimim are listed. In Shmos, Perek Lamed Daled, Pasuk Zayin.
Pasuk Zayin. Okay, I have it. Should I read?
Yes, if you like.
I'd like to, yes, that'd be great. Let's see. Notzer chesed lalufim, nosei avon, fesha v'chata v'nakei. Lo yinakei poked avon avos al banim va'al b'nei vanim al shi leishim va'al ribeim. Preserver of kindness for 2,000 generations, forgiver of iniquity and willful sin and error, and who absolves, but does not absolve completely. He remembers the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the grandchildren, upon the third and upon the fourth generation.
Okay, so let's take a look at Rashi here.
Rashi says, preserver of kindness that man does before him.
Now, what does that mean exactly? Sha'ada also the fun of everything is, so to speak, in front of Kadosh Baruch Hu. Notes at Chesed. Sha'adam also the fun of.
I think it's not saying that Hashem preserves his kindness. It's saying that Hashem preserves the kindness of human beings.
What does that mean? Like that he
that if we do kindness, then Hashem, I guess Hashem helps that kindness to be effective.
I see that that one of the Meforshim explains that she'em enachelo zu mischusa b'shvil toya she'asa imoy. Hashem is not going to decrease from his merits because of the good that he has done with him. I think what's being said is like this, that maybe perhaps because of the fact that we're relying on the Kadosh Baruch Hu's mercies, right, for various different things, you might think that in spite of the fact that a person has done many good things in his Torah and Mitzvah Ma'aseh Tovim, so you might think that Hashem, by acting with this person mercifully, that may take away from his merits. So here, as it's explained, that no, Hashem is Neitzeh Chesed. He guards, he watches over, he preserves. That's better. He preserves the Chesed. Sha'anam also the fun of, meaning those things which a person has done before Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? Those things, but that merits, those merits which a person has accrued through his acts of goodness, Torah and mitzvahs, Hashem preserves those merits that he's accrued through his mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim in his Torah, and they're not going to be reduced because of any mercy that Hashem may have to dispose upon the person. Hashem's mercy is going to be given to the person free of cost, right? Sometimes you want a favor from somebody, right? You ask a favor from somebody, and it's going to cost you, right? He's going to do you a favor, but it's going to cost you somehow or some way, right? But Hashem does you a favor, so to speak. It's not going to cost you anything. It's not going to detract from your merits that you've accrued through your own efforts. I think that's what they basically mean to say over here. Let's see. Maybe I can. That's based on Rashi, right? That's based on Rashi.
If Hashem does something good for me, then that hurts me.
No, it doesn't hurt you.
No,
it doesn't hurt you.
Yeah, like Eliezer saying, it's coming to tell you, Noitzer Chesed, Hashem is preserving, right, the Chesed, the Chesed which you have accrued through your merits, that amount of Chesed that is deserving to you because of your merits. That's not going to be detracted from it because of any mercies that Kadosh Baruch has to dispose upon you for certain things. You see, for example, it's the opposite in some places. Miracles. It's Chazal warn very strongly that a person should not necessitate the working of miracles on Hashem's part, because even though Hashem may have mercy on the person and do miracles for the person, but that's going to take away from his merits in Olam Haba. He doesn't know how much he's losing in his Olam Haba because of the miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to do for this person in Olam Hazeh. So it's people sort of have it a bit wrong. It's not the proper hashkafa. When you see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing miracles, you have to be concerned that the merits which they have accrued are disappearing. They may not get their full measure when they come to Olam Haba, because Hashem's going to give them a bill for the miracles that He did to save them in certain cases, right? So it's not necessarily a good thing that a person has miracles occur to him. But in this case, we see that's not going to be the case. Those things which a person has accrued through his merits of good deeds, that as Rashi says that he's done before Hashem, they're not the chesed Hashem's doing for the person is not going to detract from the accrued merits of his good deeds.
So in general, if Hashem does a chesed for me, it hurts me.
No. That's not what he's saying. If Hashem does, because of your merits, Hashem will do a chesed for you. It's a freebie. Okay, he's not going to cost you anything.
Is it a freebie, but not in general?
I'm sorry.
My chesed is it a freebie, but not in general.
What do you mean?
To pay for a chesed that Hashem does for me.
No.
This is saying not that way. It says Notzer Chesed, He preserves the Chesed. Hashem is preserving the Chesed which you have gained and you have accrued for yourself. Hashem will want to preserve it,
but not His Chesed.
No. Because of the Chesed that Hashem is going to do with you, right? You don't have to be concerned that that's going to detract from the merits of the Chesed that you have earned on your own.
Lou, it's like a bank account. When you do chesed, you're making deposits in your bank account. And what Hashem is saying is that when Hashem, because of the value of your bank account, Hashem will do chesed for you and not make deductions from your account. Your account keeps building for all the chesadim that you do, and Hashem comes back and will pay you without charging you, and will reward you with other chesed without charging you. You just build up your benefits.
So let's say I put on tefillin.
Yep.
I get a merit for that.
Yep.
I get +1 in my bank account.
Sure.
Now,
And that +1 never goes away. No matter, and Hashem will do good things to you, and that +1 never goes away. It's there. And when you do another thing, you do another mitzvah, and you're up to +2 or +5 or +10. That number never goes down. The chesadim that you do, that number never decreases. Hashem will do for you without charging you for it. Your chesadim keep going.
I just say about it's not so good that you have miracles done for you because it detracts from your account.
That's
Okay,
miracles. That's
miracles
what miracles are. Lamala miteva. When something is lamala miteva, that's a different story. But stam chasadim is not lamala miteva.
Right. The fact that Hashem is Moli Rachamim, right? That's built into the fabric of the universe. That's the way Hashem wants the world to run. So that's not violating any natural laws. But when Hashem is going to require a violation of natural laws and have miracles be made, so those violations of the laws of nature are going to cost. That's going to cost a person.
Well, let's say Hashem uses my investments to do well, miraculously, so that I end up getting more money than I should have gotten in my portfolio. And it's not a result of my doing chesed. It's because I put on tefillin. So do I lose merits because of that?
Well, first of all, it's very difficult to know. It's very difficult to know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if a person can point to any particular increase in his portfolio and say there was miraculous. There are too many economic factors which are involved in the fluctuation of markets and stocks and bonds and whatever else might be involved to say that there was some miracle that took place here. And even if a person bought a piece of property, let's say he bought a piece of property and then it was a gold mine was discovered on the property, no one would say that would be a miracle. I won't say it was a miracle,
Well, I feel that several miracles happened to me when I made Aliyah. Financial miracles happened to me when I made the Aliyah. One particular concerning my house and the sale of my house and how much money I ended up getting out of my house.
Right.
Let's say I'm right. Let's say Hashem did, in fact, miraculously assist me in getting that house sold for a very high price, much higher than it should have been. Do I lose out because of that?
Possibly, if in fact it was a real true miracle.
Right. Houses get sold all the time, Lou. And so houses get sold for more than they're asking for, and houses get sold for less than they're asking for. That's not, the fact that it got sold for more than you expected is not, that's not l'malami teva. That happens all the time.
Can that it's possible that Hashem did a miracle in the saving of my house, in the selling of my house? Is it possible?
Maybe it's possible. It could have been just normal operation. It doesn't necessarily mean it was a miracle.
Let's assume it happened.
A miracle is l'malami teva, something out of the ordinary that is against nature. Houses going for more than you're asking is not out of nature. It happens all the time.
Let's say it was out of nature.
Excuse me?
Let's say it was a miracle beyond nature. It should not have happened. I should not have been able to get so much money. Hashem did a miracle in order to help me with my aliyah.
So according to
a miracle and not just a chesed. why are you requiring it to be a miracle? Why can't it just be a chesed?
Because I'm trying to ask a question based on an assumption that it was a miracle.
So,
But
so the,
why do
so
you
the
assume
rule
it's a
is
miracle?
so theoretically, if in fact if it was in fact any miracle, and now look, you have different miracles. You have miracle revealed open miracles, and you have nisim nistorim. You have hidden miracles. So hidden miracles that may not necessarily disturb a person's merits, because the fact. How does it work? Why should it be that a person, if a miracle is done for a person, why should that cause him the loss of a certain reward in Olam Haba? Because the fact that a person has had a miracle done to him, right? So that causes a change in natural law. That change in natural law affects people's bechira, right? That affects people's free will, that people are now influenced not because of their determination and decision to serve Hashem because of the fact that the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the Borei Olam, but they're influenced by the fact that Hashem has done something to change the natural way of the universe, and they believe in Hashem because of his power to change the ways of the universe. So that takes away a person's bechira. They're being influenced unduly to make the decision that they'll serve a Kadosh Baruch Hu, if in fact that's what they'll do. So therefore, since it's taking away people's free will, right? So there's that is a spiritual deficit which has to be reconciled, and in the way I understand it, it'll be reconciled in a third person's merits in Olam Haba. There'll be a decrease in a person's merits. The Gemara says that if there was a certain man and his wife had given birth, and shortly after his wife gave birth, she passed on and left the infant without a nursing mother. And in those days, they didn't have maternity, they didn't have anything, and the baby would die. The baby would simply die without a nursing mother. So the man had miracles done for him, and he grew breasts, and he was able to nurse the child, the infant. So Chazal were not so happy with the situation there, because it says even though that it was pekuach nefashis, it was a death and a life and death situation for the case for the baby, but nevertheless that the man had to be unnaturally changed into a nursing mother. That took away from his rewards in Olam Haba, right? So that was an open miracle, and even that was an open miracle for the sake of life and death, right? Nevertheless, he in some way or another was not going to receive his full reward that he would have received otherwise in Olam Haba. So if in fact it was a miracle, so there's a spiritual deficit which is created by that miracle being done in this world that has to be paid for in the world to come.
So basically, your answer is yes.
Yeah, if a miracle in fact was done, whether or not the price of a house, that may not be considered to be an open miracle. That may be a what we call nisim nistorim, hidden miracles. There's no change in the fact that you had a house and now it's worth 10 times more than it was when you first put it on the market, because now there's a volcano right next to your house that people want to see, and it's a great tourist attraction. Your house is now on the surface of the volcano, right there at the crest of the volcano, and it has a great view of the volcano. So now people are very interested in coming and viewing the volcano at your house. The fact that a volcano crested on your property, that's not even that wouldn't be considered a miracle. Volcanoes come and volcanoes go. That wouldn't necessarily be a miracle.
Lou, let me tell you a story.
A more practical question. I remember hearing one time about a woman who came from Europe and she had never had sugar. And they served her sugar. She took one taste and she said, "Take this away from me. I don't want to have anything to do with this because this is so good that I'm concerned that it will take away from my Olam Haba."
Okay.
So let's say that that's true. She was right. So how do I apply that to my life? Should I refrain from eating food that is particularly tasty in order to not lose merits?
So the Sefer
let me
Chavos
tell-
Halevavos discusses this. This is the conclusion of the Chavos Halevavos on this particular point, which is basically touching on what we call, what's known as precious, which is abstinence. That the Chasam Sofer also has in his Kedushia on in the Gemara and Megillah, if I'm not mistaken. He says one of the main primary missions that a person's brought into this world to achieve is to weigh carefully those things which he needs to partake from and those things which he has to abstain from, right? And the Chavos Halevavos goes on and he says that any time the person's going to spend time, energy, and other things involved in things which are not necessary, so that time and energy that's been spent on things which are not necessary, that will create a deficit of time and energy for the things that are necessary. Meaning that if a person is going to spend time and energy doing something which is not really necessary, then when it comes time for him to do something which is truly necessary, he's going to be lacking the time and energy and whatever else he needs to accomplish it. He won't be able to accomplish what he needs to accomplish because he spent his time and energy on things which were unnecessary. But Eliezer, you wanted to say a story? Had a story to mention?
Yeah, let me tell you a story. Okay, see if I get my point across. Baruch Hashem, we made 2 bar mitzvahs for grandsons this summer. And I was asked to speak at the Sudas. So I'm talking at the second bar mitzvah. I'm talking to my grandson. And I'm telling him, I look back on my life and I see all the chasadim that Hashem has done for me throughout my life, with my wife and my children. Just everything has worked out. It's been amazing. And I went and told them, I said, if you've been listening to a Chafetz Chaim video on Tisha B'Av, and you heard Rabbi Friend or Rabbi Krohn describing the chasadim that were done to this person, you would have said that person lived an amazing life, because all of the chasadim that Hashem was doing for him, the person must have been really special. And I said, but it wasn't somebody who was special. It was just me. And I'm just kind of a normal person. Okay? And still, I see Hashem doing chasadim for me beyond anything I could ever imagine. Completely beyond anything I could ever imagine. And that's what happened. I mean, whatever I've done is caused Hashem to give me chasadim. I don't think there were miracles involved. It was chasadim. It was just in the natural way of everything was natural and it made sense when it happened, but you couldn't see the results at the start. And the results turned out to be absolutely amazing. And that's the whole idea behind the chasadim. It's not necessary. Just because great things happen doesn't necessarily mean it's a miracle. Okay, it is just Hashem repaying you for the chasadim that you've done for other people. in the end, that's just the way of the world for Hashem.
You see, the Maharal Prague mentions in one of his svarim that when it comes to refuahs, now many times you'll see that the doctors give up. And I just someone here in Yeshiva just told me yesterday, the man has had 2 heart attacks within the last 4 or 5, 3 years or something like that. Two heart attacks within the last 2 or 3 years, whatever it's been. And he told me yesterday, right, that the doctors examined him and there's no trace of any heart attack that occurred. No trace. You know, the doctors will tell you, the patients will tell you that so many times there were cases that were diagnosed this way and that way, and they'll say miraculously, right, that the disease, whatever it was, disappeared. It wasn't. They'll say it's a misdiagnosis. They had the wrong files. Whatever it'll be, but whatever it was is completely gone. Right. So sometimes, can you say that was truly a miracle? Again, to judge a miracle, I tell you, there's a halacha. You probably know about benching goimel, right? There's a bracha that a person, if he was saved from something, a certain dire situation, and was saved, right? So there's a bracha he should make. Gets up in the Kriyas Torah, makes a bracha goimel, right? The standard times are if a woman who gave birth, a person who traveled over the seas. Many people are knowing to do that if they fly in airplanes over the ocean, so to speak, and other cases as well. Comes out of prison, right? Birkas Goimel. So there's a very big discussion in the poskim exactly what has to happen to the person, right, in order for him to truly make that bracha. That not everything is going to be considered to be worthy of making that bracha, even though they may have come through a very difficult situation. Also, there's a bracha if a nace was done for a person, if a person comes to that place, or if a place was a person's father had a miracle done to him, the son can, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and say a bracha on the place that the miracle occurred, right? So there are specific requirements as to what's considered a miracle. In these cases, for Birkus Gomel, for making the bracha on the miracle. So what's considered to be a miracle is that in some ways is a halakhic question, which has halakhic parameters to it and halakhic criteria for it. So not everything that's going to be even something highly unusual is going to be actually considered to be a miracle. Maybe, as Eliezer Tzvi said, it may be an aspect of Hashem's kindness, His mercy being bestowed upon a person in a very specific, very beneficent way. But that doesn't necessarily means that to be a miracle, right? And as I mentioned, the Maharal Prague mentions that when it comes to refuahs, that a Talmid Chacham, Talmidei Chachamim, that their refuah is they receive refuahs mala mederech teva, because since they live, Talmid Chacham lives mala mederech teva. His hanhagi, his behavior of Talmid Chacham is in general, right, beyond the natural means. So since the Talmid Chacham lives beyond the natural means, so his refuah will be coming also beyond the natural means, because the natural means, he lives beyond that, and the unnatural is his nature, is the natural environment that he lives in is a mala mederech teva. It's beyond the natural parameters, and therefore the refuah that a person who's a Talmid Chacham receives is many times coming to him mala mederech teva. But that's teva for him. That's nature for him. So it's relative. But again, I think the basic thing we have to remember is that sometimes Hashem's chesed is very intense, very specific, but that doesn't necessarily bring it to the level and of a true miracle. People may refer to it as being miraculous, but whether it's actually considered technically to be a true miracle, that's another question. But if there were actual miracles done, so then the person has to be concerned that a person may be losing his merits in the next world. As Rabbi Miller mentions, he mentions that a person, if he crosses against the light, he's got a red light right on the pedestrian path, the red light, and he crosses against the red light. So he looks here and looks there. Of course, he's looking both ways, and he sees no cars coming this way, no cars coming that way. So it's a clear street all the way around, and he goes in and crosses against the light. Right? So he thinks everything's okay. And Rabbi Miller says, no, you don't know how many miracles HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to do to save that person from being injured by a car coming at that very moment. Because really, according to Teva, according to the natural means, the cars have the right of way when we have a red light against us, so the cars have a right of way. And Hashem therefore had to make miracles. You may never know of those miracles, but Hashem, you don't know what Hashem did in order to save that person from having a terrible accident with the car when he was crossing against the red. So even you might think, well, I've saved myself a couple of minutes, but Rabbi Miller says you'll find out in the next world how much you really lost.
Is that because you violated the law, or is that independent of the violating the law?
We're not talking about the pedestrian law. There's the person violated the pedestrian, but he violated natural law. Natural law called for the cars to be coming across that pedestrian path at that time. That's what the natural law caused, right? It was like it's like swimming. If you try and go swimming against the tide, and a person goes, if the red flags are out and the person tries to go swimming, he's not supposed to go swimming then, right? And so let's say the red flags are out, and he decides to go swimming, and he has a wonderful day. Baruch Hashem, nothing happened to him. He was out there in the red flags, and nothing happened to him. But since the red flags were out there, he really should have been swept out to sea. The fact that he didn't, that we don't know how many miracles the HaKadosh Baruch Hu did to save him from being swept out to sea. The same way, the natural law was if a person's crossing against the red light, so he has no idea what type of miracles Hashem is doing in order to save him from being impaled with the car going, because the car has the right of way at that point, just like the tide has the right of way when the red flags are out.
But in the case of the sugar, if I eat the sugar, I'm getting the benefit of Hashem's chesed by giving me this wonderful thing to eat. But I haven't put myself in any kind of need for Hashem to do something to protect me or anything like that. So what I heard you say before, I think, was that if I'm going out of my way to get a hold of the sugar, and I'm taking away from something I could have done, let's say Bidul Torah, I could have been studying Torah, instead I was running around getting sugar, then I'll lose merits. But if not, I think I heard you say that I would not lose merits.
Right. Again, it all depends. I mean, each one of these situations is very specific and very custom made. Again, like you're just mentioning sugar. So if you noticed on the packaging, they list this is high-end sugar. I mean, why are they doing that? Right? A strange thing to see on the package. What do I care how much sugar's in the product? What do I care? Why are they, there are obviously laws that the packaging companies have to put this on the product. What's the reason they're doing that? On the alcohol, you buy a bottle of wine, right? You buy a bottle of beer, they warn you, you shouldn't be excess, you shouldn't drink in excess. Buy a pack of cigarettes, it says it could be harmful to your health, right? I mean, these notices are trying to talk to people, right? They're trying to talk to intelligent people, I think. No, they're, somebody's writing there for some reason or other, right?
I guess.
So, again, does everyone, should a normal person with a healthy, sound body be concerned how much sugar intake he takes? Should he, again, anything in excess is not healthy. Excess sleep, right? Too much exercise, anything in excess. The Rambam says the basic way to go is the real hazav, the middle road, the middle golden path, whatever, not to be in excess of anything and not to be in deficit of anything. It should be, take the middle path. You like some sugar in your tea, so okay, if a person has a healthy constitution and there's no reason to think sugar in and of itself is going to damage him, so make it a sweet cup of tea, but no one says you have to put 6 tablespoons of tea of sugar in it, right? You look at some of these recipes, if you ever look at these recipes, especially in these, it's very funny. These supplements you get for the various different magazines and newspapers. So even the religious ones, they have half of the articles about dieting, and the other half of the articles about all these recipes that have more sugar than you could ingest in 12 years. On the, they put cakes with candies and sugar syrup and add 16 cups of sugar to it and with foam on top and everything else you can imagine, with jelly on top, whatever you could imagine they're putting on top of the thing, and and melt a candy bar on top of the whole mess as well, right? So on one hand they're trying to, all the people are making all these kind of crazy desserts, and all the other articles are about diets, so you have to be wise about things. If you enjoy, nothing wrong with the Sefer Mesilas Yesharim says if a person's at a particular suda, he's at a certain meal, and there's a big spread of food there about it. A person's going to be given, if he refrains from partaking from part of that meal, he's going to have to give an explanation after 120 years why he did not partake of the goodness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem's providing all his goodness, right? That's why you go to these smorgasbords, you're in big trouble, right? Hashem's going to say to you, look, you're at that smorgasbord, they have 15 different types of chicken and 12 types of meat, and they had 25 different types of vegetables. You didn't taste from all of them. Why didn't you do that? It was all there for you to taste and enjoy. The more you enjoy the world, the more you're supposed to praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The enjoyments of this world are there for the purpose of praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're supposed to say, sugar tastes good. This is a good world. It's a sweet world, right? We take a sweet apple on Rosh Hashanah and we dip it in honey, right? So you're going to say, no, I'm going to take a sour apple and dip it in salt, right? No, Hashem doesn't want you to do that. Hashem wants you to take a sweet apple, dip it in the honey, and make it even more sweet and enjoy it. Because he wants you to enjoy. This is the very beginning of the year. The year has just begun, and here we are making ourselves what you might think, indulging in ourselves, making a sweet apple even more sweet. But that's not the point. The point is Hashem wants us to realize that the goodness that he's providing for us. Apple is sweet. And we can even make it even more sweeter, just like the year is sweet, and we can even make it more sweeter with our own mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim and our learning Torah. We can make the year that Hashem's giving us, this new year, is a sweet year, and we have the ability through our own learning Torah, doing mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim, we can even make it more sweet. And Hashem wants us to do that. He wants us to enjoy this world, because the more that we enjoy this world, the more we're going to praise the Kadosh Baruch Hu for the goodness He disposes upon us. So that's the whole point. The notes of Chesed, and I'm just trying to come back to what we started with. The notes of Chesed, Hashem is preserving the Chesed, meaning those merits that a person has achieved through his own acts of goodness, right? That Chesed which he has accrued for himself, Hashem will preserve that, in spite of any necessities of mercy that Hashem's going to have to dispose upon the person, independent for what he himself did. So that's a tremendous thing. And in spite of the fact that we're receiving tremendous chesed from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's not going to take away from our credit of merits that we've deserved because of our own actions. But when it comes to miracles, okay, since chesed is part of the universe, chesed is part of the natural way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu deals with this world, right? So therefore, it's not going to take away from any merits. But when it comes to miracles, which are not necessarily going to be in keeping with the natural ways that HaKadosh Baruch Hu deemed to run this world, so if it's going to necessitate miracles to be occurring, right? So that may be, in fact, a detriment to a person when they finally get the final bill for their stay in this world. They may see that they've run up a bill based on the various miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done for him. But again, it all depends what kind of miracles. Maybe it's only referring to miracles which are absolutely open miracles, and those miracles which are not necessarily considered to be open miracles, like the price of a house, final sale price of a house. I would say that it shouldn't be considered, can't be considered a miracle, because we see that there's a halacha. Oh no, there's a halacha about overcharging, right? Overcharging. This is a halacha in Choshen Mishpat. A person overcharges a customer, or if a customer undercuts a seller more than a sixth, which is basically 17% or so. Meaning, if a seller is going to charge more than 17% of the natural market price, or if a buyer is going to undercut a seller more than 17% of the market price, so the transaction is considered to be null and void, because it's considered to be what we call in Hebrew onah. It's considered to be overcharging or undercharging, and that's going to be a prohibition. Right? But when it comes to karka, when it comes to selling karka, land, there is no limit of how much you can charge for karka, because karka depends on who's buying it, depends on who's selling it, depends on the location. You can have the exact same house, right? The exact same house on the exact same street, and for one particular reason, that one house can go for a lot more money or a lot less money than another house, and you can't therefore claim that there was an overcharge or an undercharge. So therefore, also, I don't think you can really consider, even if it seemed to be very unusual and disproportionately appropriate, a sales price from what you expected to what you finally got. You can't really attribute that to be an open miracle. At best, it could be maybe a hidden miracle, because prices fluctuate, and that's part of the market. And so if something, or buyers come along, and just like they can't claim there was an overcharge, I don't think you can really claim that there was a miracle involved either. But a chesed, definitely a chesed it was, for sure. If it was a chesed, it was a chesed. Right? And the chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not necessarily going to result in any type of reduction of a person's merits. Okay. All right, so that's Notzer Chesed. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, with more of this, Be'ezer Hashem.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take a little break. Roy, have a good afternoon, please, and we'll continue soon with the.
You too. Be well.
Thank you too as well. Hope to see you tomorrow.
There
Okay.
you
Take a little
go.
break.
Bye.
Thank you.